So you write in your book, the grinding hypnotic power of this ruined place and these people would never leave me. I think you're talking about your grandparents' house where you grew up.
Yeah.
But you could be talking about New Jersey, couldn't you? You've never really left New Jersey. I mean, spiritually
Could have been.
or in terms of real estate.
Well, the only time I left was, we left for a short period in the early 90s where we went to LA for about 4 years, I think. And we lasted until my kids were old enough to be in the first grade. And then we knew...
That was too long.
Yeah, you had to make a choice, you know. I like Los Angeles, and it's an interesting city. It's in the desert. You're surrounded by the Mojave. You have San Gabriel Mountains, Santa Monica Mountains. You got the beautiful beaches. I enjoyed where it was located, and I got a motorcycle, so I'd take it out into the mountains and the desert pretty often. And I missed that about it. I missed that about living out west. But as soon as my kids were school age, we had about an 80-member family back home, Irish and Italian, and even when we were in LA, we were spending about half the year there and half the year in New Jersey. And we knew if the kids were going to grow up, we wanted them to grow up around a family in a smaller neighborhood where people were used to seeing us. It was a much more normal environment. School was very normal. The kids got used to seeing you when they were very young, so they never made a big deal about it, and so that's what we did.
So you never really left your kind of people. I mean, Irish, Italian, that working class background. I mean, that's who you are, right?
Well, you know, we've you know, basically, I live 10 minutes from my hometown.
Where you grew up.
Yeah, and you know, 20 minutes from the beach. I'm an unreconstructed beach bum, and there was something about staying close to those roots that I felt protected me, maybe protected some part of my music and my work. I was interested in writing about where I came from. I was interested in the people that were there. I wanted to continue writing about those subjects, and I felt that staying close to home kind of kept it very clear for me.
Because a lot of your songs are about your family, your troubled relationship with your father, your loving, devoted mother, and your people, if I can call it that.
Okay.
I mean, you know, the working class, blue collar, you know, Irish, Italian, American immigrants. They're kind of in the news these days, aren't they? Because everyone wants to get a piece of their action for this election.
I suppose so. You know, I think that I think what's happened is it's very visible right now, because the past 40 years, as the deindustrialization and globalization has affected a lot of work lives, the issues that matter to a lot of hard-working folks haven't been addressed. You know, it's like this: if I couldn't be a musician tomorrow and I had to find something else to do, I have no idea what I'd do. I'd be at a loss. So your steel mill closes down, your factory moves south or moves overseas. That's your life walking away from you. You know, so it's really a moment where their concerns have come to the front. Of course, it usually only happens when someone wants your vote.
Sure.
But it has happened, and so you know, I think they're demanding a response of some sort, and neither party has really addressed their concerns.
I mean, the landscapes that you write about in your lyrics, and I've traveled to a lot of these places in America myself, I think they're heartbreaking. I mean, these are heartbreaking landscapes of kind of urban desolation and despair and abandonment. And a lot of the people that I speak to on these trips, they love Donald Trump. They love him because they think that he is finally hearing them. Do you get that in your community? I mean, the people that you used to know in New Jersey as well. Can you understand where that's coming from?
I mean, I know some Trump voters, you know, but I think that he's really preyed upon that part of the country, because he gives these very glib and superficial answers to very, very entrenched and very difficult problems. But they're answers that sound pretty good if you've struggled for the past 20 or 30 years. So
you can understand his appeal.
Yeah, I can understand that somebody with simple answers to very complicated questions, who sound like they're listening to you for the first time.
Do you think the people who like him are racists?
No, no, I don't believe that. You can't generalize like that. You know, I think there's all kinds of people that are interested in him for a variety of different reasons.
But in a way, that part of America has been looking for someone to come and talk to them for a very long time. You did it with your music, and you write about that very eloquently in your book.
Yeah.
But politically, they've been left behind, haven't they?
I believe so, yes.
Are the Democrats the answer this time? Is Hillary Clinton the answer?
I don't know. You know, I don't really know. I think Bernie Sanders had some appeal, you know. But I'm not sure if there's anybody out there who really is going to dig into those problems.
Because I saw you playing with Barack Obama in Madison, Wisconsin. I think it was his last rally in the last election in 2012. Massive crowd. You going to play for Hillary Clinton this time around?
I don't have any plans at the moment. You know, it's only 3 weeks left in the election, and
has she asked you?
No, they've been in contact to use a piece of music or something, which is fine by me. I think I think she'll be a good president. You know,
I don't hear undiluted enthusiasm.
You know,
Oh.
but
But you're not going to be playing for Trump.
no. No,
So,
not at all.
I mean, there's so many fascinating things about the book. One thing that was really moving, and of course I didn't know this until the book came out, was your struggle with depression.
Oh, right.
And that for you, concerts, and I just went to see one the other day, it was 4 hours and 10 minutes long. I mean, I was tired just sitting down for that long, clapping, singing along. But this depression thing, you use concerts as a form of self-medication, don't you?
Well, that's what I think that's how it all started. You know, you're young and you don't understand the different things you're feeling. You certainly don't understand if there's any chemical imbalance in your makeup.
Mm-hmm.
So all I knew was when I played, it deeply centered me and chased away my blues, you know, for whatever the reason was. I think there was an enormous amount of self-realization in playing. And when you walked off the stage at night, you knew who you were, you know, and you felt you'd done something constructive. So you left with a certain feeling of lightness and a certain positivity that eluded me in a lot of the rest of my daily life.
Mm-hmm.
So music was really my first refuge against things that were bothering me. So it did help a lot.
But then when you give a concert in front of thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, you end up on a high.
Oh, yes, you do.
You're body surfing through the crowds. Then the low is that much more dramatic afterwards. Huh? Or is it not?
It can be, you know. It can be. You know, I tended to struggle most when I was off the road, when I was not playing, and when I was not always necessarily my own best company. So I definitely tend to have a harder time with it during the periods when I'm not working.
Mm-hmm.
The periods when I'm working, I always have the shows to fall back on, and they always lift you, no matter. And I've never found it to be an issue in my work, whether I was recording or whether I was playing. So it does cut up a little bit into your off time and to your on time, and I definitely struggle with it a little more when I'm not working.
You write, one of the chapters in the book is called Wrecking Ball, and there was also the title of one of your albums, I gather written after the Great Recession of 2008.
That's right.
That made you very angry, didn't it? The state of Wall Street and how Wall Street was not taken to justice.
Well, yeah, you had a very small group of people who damaged so many other people's lives. You know, I have friends with, you know, people lose their homes, they lose their retirement, and there was at the end of the day, there wasn't really an accounting that went on. There was very, very little accountability. So when I went to write that record, that was, you know, it was deeply on my mind at the time, and a sad chapter in American history.
And is that lack of reckoning accounting for some of the rage, the real rage that we hear today?
I think so. I think so.
And do you think that rage will go away after this election?
No. I don't know how it's going to manifest itself, but it will manifest itself somehow, you know.
Do you think there might be some trouble? I mean, you know, we've already seen some strife on the streets.
Well, the trouble at the moment is you have Donald Trump, who is talking about rigged elections, and he's not. He has a feeling he's going to lose now, which of course he is going to lose.
You're confident?
Oh yeah, he's going to lose, and he knows that. He knows he's going to lose, and he's such a flagrant, toxic narcissist that he wants to take down the entire democratic system with him if he goes. If he could reflect on these things, maybe he'd have. But he's such an unreflective person, and he doesn't. He simply has no sense of decency and no sense of responsibility about him. And the words that he's been using over the past several weeks really are an attack on the entire democratic process.
And is that dangerous?
Yeah, it is. I think it's very dangerous. He does have a lot of people's ears, and I don't think he's going to go quietly into the, gently into the good night. I think he's going to make a big a mess as he can, and I don't know what that's going to mean, but we'll find out shortly.
I mean, if you look at the state of America today, if you look at some of the language used in this election campaign, would you say that you're proud to be born in the USA, to quote your most famous song?
Well, yeah, America's a place that still has an enormous amount of wonderful qualities about it. I mean, I just love the country itself. I always have. I think that I've had a critical but creative voice is the voice I searched for in my music, whether it was Born in the USA. I think the thing that was about that song was it had a critical voice in the verses, and yet there was a sense of pride in birthplace in the choruses. And that's where I've always come from. I grew up an American. My music is thoroughly American, and while I certainly have a lot of criticisms about where we live, it's something I've also always been. I've always had a lot of pride in. So,
if your father, with whom you had a very troubled relationship, was alive today, do you think he would be tempted to vote for Donald Trump?
That's a good question. If he voted at all, I'm not sure. I don't know. He'd have a hard time. He'd have a hard time.
He was an angry man, though, wasn't he? He was an angry, depressed man.
He had, I think if you just look towards my music and you hear the way I created a bit of an archetype in my songs about him, and it was a little bit of a one-dimensional portraiture. He had a lot of different qualities beyond the fact that he struggled, with his life and working, So he was a much more complicated character than that.
What about your mother? Would she be in love with Hillary Clinton as a candidate?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. My mother, who when I was very young, I know was very democratic. She was the first one to say, who are we, Mom? We're Democrats. Why? They're for the working people. That was the only political discussion we had in my house when I was a kid. But she was also, she tended to get a little more conservative as she got older. But she wouldn't be a Trump voter.
Because it's very tribal in America, isn't it? You're a Democrat or a Republican, and then that tribal thing seems to become diluted in recent years.
Well, I think people's politics are shaped by tribe, by psychology, by the way you were brought up and nurtured. That's why I always say people don't come to musicians looking for their political points of view. I think I have, with the size of my audience, I'm sure I have people with all different points of view that come to see us.
But don't you feel at this crucial juncture, I mean, this is a really important election for America. The whole world is watching. I mean, it's the only topic of conversation in this town. Do you think it's your duty as a famous musician, as a lyricist, as a kind of guardian of the American soul to get involved politically?
Not necessarily, I think that I've had a voice that's spanned over a period of 40 years now. People generally know where I'm coming from and my point of view. I believe that if you get out there on the stump, which I've done a few times, I think it's nice to show some support, but I don't necessarily believe that musicians turn the tide or have any deep political influence in that sense. That's sort of my approach towards it.
The trash talk that we heard from Donald Trump the other day on that famous tape about women from 2005, he said it was just locker room talk. Do you agree with that?
No. It was obviously something that was at the core of his person, and
you never get that kind of talk on the train, the trailer, or the tour bus, or so. Or?
Not really.
Not really. No.
Not like that.
Not like that. Looking ahead, you know, you've done so much. What else are you going to do? What are the things you haven't done yet? What's on your bucket list?
My thing is I just keep doing the same old thing, you know. I mean, I work, I put my records out. I continue to talk about the things that I'm interested in. And, you know, that's the way I approach my job. I take it day to day.
You've written this great book. So obviously now you're going to get the Nobel Prize for Literature, like Bob Dylan.
I don't think so.
That's why you wrote it, huh?
Oh yeah, sure.
Not just for your lyrics, but also for a real book. Huh? You congratulate him. He's one of your heroes, Bob Dylan.
Oh, I think it's fabulous. Yeah, I think it's really wonderful. Very happy about it.
Just one more. I watched your concert the other day, 4 hours and 10 minutes. I think I told you. How do you do it? I mean, how do you keep it up for so long? It's extraordinary.
I always have trouble stopping, so it's not really.
It's the opposite.
You know, it's not really. Yeah. The night has an organic life of its own. You know, if I come out at night not quite knowing exactly where the audience is going to take me or where I'm going to go, we have such a big body of work behind us that I like to play a lot of it. Mm-hmm. My audience comes to hear a lot of it. Plus, I want to give people something that they're hopefully never going to forget. You know, I want to do something that feels epic to them. I want to try and push beyond the normal realms of performance. Mm-hmm. You know, and I want people to go home feeling like they've had a night that's going to resonate within them. That's going to hopefully we go out to entertain, we go out to inspire, we go out to stir you to action. So there's a lot at stake, I feel, when I go out on stage at night. I like that. I like playing for those stakes. I always have since I was a young man, and that's the way I go about it.
So you're going to carry on touring, carry on performing.
Carry on.
Can't stop.
No, sir.